So in today's video, I'm going to be discussing the three main exercises that if you said you can only do these and what have had the longest levers, the biggest impact and effect on growing my back, these are what they would be. For context, when we look at developing a back piece, it's made up, of course, of the upper back region and the trap area that sits around here. The area that I'm not actually really showcasing from this pose. This is a lat pose. We're also looking then at the lats, of course, which start down here by the hip, and then they'll insert onto the upper arm. Now, if we look here, we've got the upper portion of the lat and the lower portion of the lat, and I do like to break the two down. So what gives you that little, just that cutting edge of your back where, cool, we can build some nice width here, but we can also add this little shave of area down here, which really does add to a little bit more thickness to the physique itself. And what we're looking for really is, where are our hips, and where's the widest part of our back, and how wide out can we get this in line with the floor. Back is a cool muscle area and a group to develop. So if yours is lagging behind, I'm going to give you three exercises, but most importantly, like how to actually use and connect with those exercises so you can get the most out of it. Let's roll straight into the first one. So what I believe gets not really as much attention as it probably should is some form of a chest-supported upper back row. Now, the reason you want to be doing this and supporting that chest is because imagine this was a barbell and this pad was not here. To work, my hamstrings are loaded, my glutes are loaded, my lower back's loaded. Then I have to hit the working muscle. So already there's a lot being burned, and if you're in a deficit, you need to be very select with how you burn those calories. We want to really be focusing on the working muscle. Now, when we're looking to train the upper back region, what you want to focus on is the position of the elbow. See, as you pull up here, you've set yourself in position. You don't want to be too close to the body because it'll capture the lower portion of the lats. You also don't need to be flared out too far out at right angle. So I come at about the same space that you would press from. It's the opposite of a press, really. A row is the opposite of a press, and a press is the opposite of a row. Just the concentric and the eccentric are slightly different. Now, what we're looking to do here, the biggest coaching cue I could give you, and I give to clients on form clips, and I just implement myself every time I'm doing this movement, is when you come out from the bottom, your first point to move is not your hands. Your first point to move is your trap region. Shrug from the target area, because if you pull from just your hands first, what's the first thing to move, or to break, should we say? It will be the elbow joint. So if the elbow joint breaks first, you're then putting tension on the bicep before this is really even moved. What's going to be much stronger, your upper back trap region or your biceps? In theory, it should be your upper back trap region, just for the sheer size of the muscle, of course. So what it then forces you to do is, you shrug up first. Your tension is locked on here before we've even started to fully bend that arm. Now, it's only going to be a small movement. So if you're set up here and you shrug back, tension's on, that's a small movement. Then the elbows come in to follow suit. You drag those elbows as far back behind the body to enhance that contraction even further. And then the same's going to go out in reverse. Move the elbows away first and then pull apart your back, fully stretching it out at the bottom and then continuously doing so with the shrug at the top. Steady with the tempo, pause in the short and where it's hardest, and just prioritize really driving and squeezing from those shoulder blades together. It's a tough exercise and most people will be weak in this area. I was for the longest of time, and dare I say I still am. There's still a lot more that needs to happen in order to do so. So that's how I want you to approach this first exercise. This is what's going to add thickness to the upper back, and a lot of people neglect this, so that there's plenty of money to be made in this. Now, you may remember of me speaking about that very lower portion of the lats, and the way we're going to achieve this is by doing a single arm lower lat row, where when you set yourself up in this position, your focus, again, you're not going to pull from your hands. You're going to picture, don't think of it as a pull movement, think of it as like a drag movement. You're going to drag your elbow back to your hip, and in doing so, you're going to wrap that lat back around the spine. So you're here, elbow into hip, boom, nice and short and steady out. Elbow into hip, and you get the pause out here. Wrap it around, pause, and you're steady out there, and you're just dragging it. It's not a massive movement. Very loadable, actually. You'll be able to lift a fair amount of load with this just because of the sheer like minimal movement and arm path that comes along with it. And you're there, you're dragging that elbow into the hip, pausing and wrapping round. And that's it. Yeah, you know, like, to be fair, we need to get a grip. Actually, to be fair, this video was filmed in like March time, so we need an updated video for you. But the principle's still in line. This is the position we want to get you in, and I've really found I connect very, very well with this. This has been a big, solid moneymaker in growing my back. Let's have a look at the last exercise. So the last exercise is going to be some form of a pull down. Really for its loadability, like you'll be able to stick a good amount of load on there. Pull-ups are great. But the beauty with this is how much more load you can lift through the fact that you're locked in. So from here, you're going to get your elbows and drag them into your hips as much as possible. This now gets harder as it comes up towards the top. Chest stays up. Whenever you're doing any back movement, the sternum wants to be proud and upright. And then from there, as you drag its elbow into the hip, remember thinking about where those lats start and insert onto. Start down by the hip. They run up and they'll insert from onto the humerus. So don't worry about pulling from the hands. You can use straps if need be. I do a lot of the time. And then you're just going to drag that elbow into the hip. Get your spotter to assist you. You can do a few little partials just to really toast off the back from there. So they are the three movements I like to use. And again, just looking at some anatomy to finish off. We can see the back is a big muscle. Starting down here, runs across, inserts onto the upper arm. Just think in relation, what is my upper arm doing in relation to where my back is? You're either going to be pulling down, elbow into hip, or wrapping back, elbow into hip, wrapping the lats back around the spine, or we're going to be rowing, pulling those shoulder blades back first, and then the elbows will follow suit. And honestly, the programming I like to do for this is I will do 3 exercises of pretty much 5, so 2, a 2, and a 3, so 7 sets, so 14 sets for back across the full week. 0 RAR, solid amount of intensity, and just apply that progressive overload piece. And you'll find your back grows. I'm 80 in this photo. I'm 83 kg. But naturally, boys, I'm only 5'8", 173. I'm not, as you can see, I'm not tall. But naturally, I was a smallish guy, but I've managed to add like a solid amount of tissue to the frame just from really nailing these aspects down and just nailing down the form. One thing I failed to mention, actually, is your ability to brace the midsection. Because if you're set up in this position and I don't brace the midsection, I drive down and I fold myself with it, I'm using obliques to finish that muscle off. So what I need to do is brace the abs, sternum stays up, drag the elbow into the hip, pause. Same goes for when you're doing the row exercise. Brace the abs, tuck the tailbone in from the bottom if you need to, and then shrug the shoulders back. Nice and simple. Hopefully you can take some points away from this. Simple programming to add into your training split, and I like to see your back grow. Thank you for watching. If you found this video useful, great. Subscribe to the channel, and I will see you tomorrow.